When you purchase a home in San Antonio, there are certain tax breaks you can apply for to help save you money. I'm Lauren. This is Raul. We are with the Schrader Group. And today we are going to be talking about those different tax breaks available to help you as homeowners. So let's dive into it. Teach me about tax breaks.
Teach you. Well, I think the biggest one for most Texas homeowners and San Antonio homeowners is the homestead exemption. That's one that, and this is a tough one for me because I go on listing appointments almost every day, and there's people that don't even utilize it or don't even know what it is.
Right.
And that bothers me to a certain degree because that's free money, right? And at the end of the day, I mean, there's a couple of things you have to do to get it. You have to your license has to justify the address on the property you're trying to file for. But right now, as we sit today in 2023, the normal reduction is about $40,000 in taxable for the state of Texas. Mm-hmm. Okay, which means if your house is worth $300,000, you're going to be taxed at on your school district side, you're going to get a $40,000 reduction, which saves you a little bit of money. Well, the state of Texas just passed Senate Bill 2, which the governor signed in July, which is going to be our biggest tax reform ever for property taxes. It's in the tune of $13.3 billion. And what ends up with that is when we're at the $40,000, now they're going to increase it to about $100,000 for the school districts. Okay. So that's going to actually reduce your taxes pretty significantly. So let's just do a little math equation. On the average house, you love math.
I hate math.
So on the average house, they're guesstimating that on a 331 median priced home here in Texas, the average homeowner is going to save about $1,200 to $1,300 a year in taxes. So, I mean, that's huge. I mean, so that's really, really good. And that's one of the things that you're able to get. Like I said, you got to be a principal residence, but you also got to apply. No one's just going to hand it to you. You got to go in and actually file the homestead.
Right. So how would someone apply for a homestead, or where would they find it?
Yeah, so you just go to the county, right? Whoever your taxing jurisdiction is, you go to the county and just say, hey, I want to apply for my homestead. And like I said, you got to have your ID matching that. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, the biggest tax drivers, just to give like an overview, is going to be your school districts and then your municipals, and then all the little districts in between that are charging. So if you look at your tax bill, say you're at 2.7, a big portion of that school district, that's where the biggest amount of taxes go to are, county taxes or our property taxes. And then everything kind of gets divided out because it goes to roads, it goes to highways, I mean, just everything, hospitals, it just gets dispersed. But what's really interesting about the new bill is it's able to maximize and reduce for people, which is really good. Now, there's other exemptions. We'll get into those here in a second, but that's the biggest one. For example, have you ever seen those movie stars or athletes that have these big old houses, mansions, and then they go bankrupt, but for some reason they still have their house? Well, if it's their homestead, they're protected from creditors. So creditors can't go and say, oh, I'm going to take your house and everything like that. Also, it's a legal... It shows as a legal protection as well for your family in case there's an accident or anything. That's protection. Right. So it's one property that you're able to do. And roughly... if you're at like a $300,000 house and you're got a homestead or you don't have a homestead, you would either be saving or spending more in the tune of about $50 to $75 a month. So it has a lot of things, but it really is to protect your family, and you're only entitled to one per family.
Would you say more first-time homebuyers are not aware of this, or? Well,
I think it's everybody. I don't think it's just first-time homebuyers. It's one of those things that, as I go into people's houses, you can see what their exemptions are, and I always ask about it. I go, regardless of what ends up happening here, we're going to file the homestead because you're leaving money on the table and you're not protected as a homeowner. So that's one of the things we always talk about, but it doesn't affect the young or old or anything like that. Now, it's a lot easier with technology to file it online, or you just send in the form and they take care of it at the county. It's not hard. No, it's not.
What tax breaks are available for Bexar County?
So you got the homestead exemption, and for Bexar County, they actually do, so just to give you broadcast, so if your house is worth, let's just say $400,000, you could get your exemption here in San Antonio, I should say, and we go up to 20%. So let's just say you're at $300,000, you could be up to $60,000 of a reduction to be about $240 taxable value, which means you're getting assessed at $300,000, but your taxable value is only $240. Now that's the maximum. It's probably closer to like $255 to $260, but if you're at a 2.7 and you're saving, $50,000, that's $1,300 in taxable income for your property every single year. So the homestead does matter, and it does kick into play, and it caps you out on different levels.
Awesome. Are there certain tax breaks for veterans?
Well, there's tons. So especially here in Texas, we love our veterans. San
Yes,
Antonio, we
we
love
do.
our veterans. So as small as 10% all the way up to 100%, there is some sort of deduction. So let's just say you have your homestead being the big meat and potatoes, and say you're a 10% veteran, and let's just say it's a 5 extra grand. So say you get $30,000 off plus another 5,000, now you're off 35,000. So your taxable is much reduced than what it should be. Now, let's say you're 100% disabled. All of a sudden, the tax on the property disappear, right? So in Texas, we give our veterans all the love and support that they
Right.
deserve.
Absolutely.
So if you're 100%, disabled through the military, you don't have to pay taxes on your property, which means,
Wow.
and for some cases, I mean, an average $400,000-$500,000 house, it could be anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000-$16,000 that they're saving. So that's a huge
That
savings.
is huge, yeah.
Savings.
What about, are there certain tax breaks for seniors or disabled?
There are. So when you turn 65, you automatically get kicked into another level, and your school district taxes kind of cap out, right? So you're never going to see your school district's taxes rise, and it also goes for surviving spouses. So say like you get into the 65 and your spouse passes away, but you're 57, you're still grandfathered into that because you're on your incomes and everything like that. But you do have to meet requirements for that to be in that zone. But the ultimate thing is you just got to be in that situation where you qualify.
Right.
But everyone has a certain level, and all that's doing is tacking on to the homestead, tacking on to the disabled veterans, tacking on to the over 65.
Right.
So everything does go and it adds up.
And when do we file for this?
I mean, you could technically file. So, like, say you purchase a house January 1st, you could file all the way through, but you just won't get retrofitted to the year before.
Okay.
So, I mean, you could pretty much go to the county and file for it. The main thing is you got to change your ID.
Okay. Lots of good information.
Lots of information.
Yes. If you have not already taken advantage of the tax breaks, you definitely should. I'm Lauren. This is Raul. Subscribe to our channel to learn more.
Absolutely, and it's very, very important that you do get this homestead. You're entitled to one per family, so if you're not using it, you're losing it, and it's just setting up your family for success. I mean, $75 goes a long way every month.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a trip to the beach every year. I mean, it does do something different. And remember, always protest your taxes at the end of the year. I mean, there's no reason not to. It's funny because you're always, in our legal system, you're innocent until proven guilty, but in our assessment or the way the county sees, they assess us until we prove otherwise. They have a 93% acceptance rate. So protest, the worst that's going to happen is you get the same value or you get something less. And to me, every dollar is good for the family.
Absolutely.
So with that said, you have a blessed day. We'll talk to you soon.